Nationals was tame in comparison to Tim Gross' 1980 Spring Nationals, Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, that's what you call getting away from you.
The worst thing that can happen is to get onto the knife edge of that guardrail, then the fuel tank explodes. Everyone holds their breath until they see Tim Gross unbuckle and run away from this one.
It's hard to believe, isn't it, Steve, that you can walk away from something like that.
Well, I said it then, and I'll say it now. That was the most spectacular non-injury crash I have ever seen. An absolute wonder that Tim, he didn't walk away, he ran away, literally. And there's nothing left of this one. This one's not going to race again.
The car just seemed to get away from him, and he hit the guardrail with a tremendous amount of impact.
Well, it appears that it took the steering wheel right off the shaft, Don. It's just dangling there as the emergency crews pick up what's left of a $60,000 funny car.
And as you notice, the roll cage is intact.
And a lot of people said, well, that's it for Tim Gross's drag racing career. Well, he had news for him. A month later, he showed up at Montreal, a car he built with his own two hands because he didn't have enough money to buy one, and qualified on the pole. Don, what went wrong?
Steve, now you understand how fast those cars accelerate and the tremendous speed they're going there. He lost the car. The car got away from him. And he hung with it a little bit too long, and now the throttle's stuck with all the tremendous damage from the first blow.
It is charging under power across the racetrack. Hits this rail harder than the first one.
One of the worst accidents I've ever seen.
Look at the shot here the roll cage takes. Oh, to survive that.
But Steve, the rear tires, those big Goodyear tires, are taking a lot of the cushion in the roll of the car.
You know, I had a chance after the incident to look at Tim Gross's fire suit. And remember, it's 5 layers thick. The guardrail just above the knee had cut through all 5 layers on both legs and didn't even break the skin.
And we're only talking, he hadn't even run an eighth of a mile down the course yet, and look at the damage that occurred.
Don, I was just on the other side of that fence with our Diamond P cameras, and I would tell you, from the time the parts quit falling till Tim got out, you could have heard a pin drop. 50,000 people held their breath for this moment, and then they let him hear it.
Well, Tim, amazingly enough, other than a ripped fire suit and a little spot on your finger, you look hale and hearty.
You're fine. A little bit sore, but a little disappointed more than anything, I would suppose.
Well, I've seldom seen a driver. I've never seen a driver take that kind of a pounding in a funny car and come out as well as you have.
Well, I don't know if that deserves an award or not, but I would say that I could see that I was definitely in trouble. The throttle was stuck. I attempted to lift up the throttle. When it came around, I knew I was going to hit the guardrail. So I just tucked myself in as best I could and tried to ride it out.
When you saw the fire, obviously, to get out.
Right, the immediate thought, yeah. I really had no idea it was really that bad. In fact, I didn't, to tell you the truth, I don't think I even felt the second impact. I was probably momentarily knocked out.
Well, just that you're standing here talking to me says a lot about the rules and the car builders.
I'm definitely for the safety, yeah, because really the whole back half of the car stayed completely intact. Those rear tires are definitely a cushion, added security there, so, you know, as it rolled over and it was on the rail, with the way the rules are set up, of course, I was completely covered.
Well, Don, we're so fortunate that our decade of thrills has been accompanied by a decade of dedication to safety. Men like Tim Gross and Raymond Beadle, and yourself even, testament to that.
That's for sure. To see someone walk away from a crash like that just adds a lot to the sport.
Well, no single individual has added more to the sport over the last decade than this famous lady, Shirley Muldowney.
I go into a race to win. That's the name of the game. I've got people that depend on a week's pay. And if I don't do my job on that starting line, we're just not going to make any money. That's why we're here. The money is good, and we want to take it home.
As I'm sure you remember, Don, her first taste of the big bucks was in June of 1976 at the Spring Nationals in Columbus, Ohio. Big Connie Coletta, at that time acting as crew chief.
Connie did a great job for her. He organized the team. He got the financial backing that she needed, and he's quite a tuner himself, you know. For Shirley as a driver, there's no one any better at her on the starting line.
Her competition in this, the final round, the Edwards Brothers racing team from the Eastern Seaboard. Bear in mind, Shirley Muldowney had never won a national event at this time. She can no longer see Bob Edwards. She knows in her heart that she's done it. And they say, Don, that the first big win is the toughest.
It is, but it's the sweetest. To get by that first big national event is something.
Last year at Indy, we did real good, but I was late. I was late a few times on the right, and I don't know what it was, but Ronnie Katz said something to me about a month ago when he said, Shirley, remember always one thing, drive your own race, and I said that to myself 100 times today, drive your own race.
Little did we know to come from this battling young woman, Shirley Muldowney. Hugging her mother, May Rourke. You can see Connie Colletta in the background, Ronnie Cap, also a very important member of that crew back in '76. In '77, Shirley Muldowney again struck at the Spring Nationals. This was to be the year of her first World Championship, and this was the key race. An Englishman, Clive Skilton, who raced for just 1 year in this country, is in the near lane, and Don, it looked like he had her covered.
Yeah, Clyde came over here from England and was doing a great job. And as you see, Shirley just nosed him out there.
Well, Clive decided to go race stock cars because there weren't any ladies to beat you there. Shirley Muldowney moved on in that same year of '77 to Englishtown, New Jersey, don the Summer Nationals.
Shirley staged here, and Jeb's having trouble with his car, and he's not going to make it. They're going to put the red light on him. He's out. Shirley's on for a single.
So Jeb Allen, who started his career at the age of 18 a few years back, sees Shirley Muldowney go on to win the Summer Nationals and a lot of points towards the world title.
Jeb Allen's really frustrated here. There's just nothing he can do. Apparently they had some type of an engine problem. Probably a 5-cent part.
But as we saw earlier in our Decade of Thrills, 4 years hence, he would earn the ultimate title in drag racing. Shirley Muldowney, by winning the Summer Nationals, might have earned enough points to clinch one for herself.
Shirley Muldowney, our Summer Nationals Top Fuel champion. Your pre-race confidence was well deserved.
I don't know what to say, Steve. You know, we worked awfully hard. Jeb was really hard. You know, I was worried about him. Patty Dakin was really tough to get by. I mean, he was right there. What can I say? You know, we all did our jobs right today. Just the track made it a little harder on us.
And you extended your points lead towards the World Championship. Would that be something, your lifelong dream?
That's it. You know, we have a very comfortable lead now. You know, we used up a lot of races. We had hard luck at the Winter Nationals, but we have a comfortable lead now, and I think my dream's going to come true.
Well, here comes Connie, your crew chief, and your son, John, and all the boys, and I'm sure you want to hug them, and they want to congratulate you.
Ronnie told me.
Again, congratulations.
Yes, the dream did come true, but not officially until October of 1977, the Winston World Finals at Ontario Motor Speedway in Southern California. The Golden Statue was hers.
Surely a realization of a dream. How many years old?
20 years.
20 years.
Long time, Steve.
You didn't think you were going to do it earlier in the year, did you? It started tough at Pomona.
That was where it all happened at Pomona, being the #1 qualifier. We thought we had it in our back pocket until our Ballard part failed us, and it didn't really start the program for us.
1978 and '79 were good years for Shirley Muldowney, to be sure, but she was unable to amass enough points to win her second world title. That brings us to the old Ontario Motor Speedway for the World Finals, October 1980. After a year-long battle, Shirley Muldowney was in the second spot, chasing Gary Beck.
Shirley, you said you're a good believer, and you've proven that, certainly. How have you polished that talent? How have you honed that talent?
Pay attention, not be looking around, watching the other car, and it's reaction, and I think women do have really good reflexes, and it's just something that you get used to.
And Don, we were all on the fence to watch her second round race with Connie Colletta.
Yeah, this just isn't any race for Shirley. Racing Coletta's a big thing. And as you see, the woman was right. She's out first and pulling away.
The first time the two had met since Colletta had resigned, shall we say, as the crew chief on Shirley's team. So you can bet he had all the horsepower he could muster, maybe too much.
Yeah, and this is quite a feather in Ron Tobler's hat, beating the ex-crew chief on Shirley Muldowney's car, and now he's #1 crewman, and pulling away from Colletta must have been a thrill on his behalf, too.
Well, this race and this moment at the far end of the racetrack turned out to be important ingredients in the film that was made of Shirley Muldowney's life 3 years after this, the critically acclaimed Heart Like a Wheel. Well, Shirley had no idea at this point that movies would be made of her story. All she was concerned about, get the blue car out of competition.
Beck had been running pretty good up till then, Steve, but something seemed to be wrong. He seemed to be losing a little bit, and he wasn't easy with himself. And there you are, he went up in smoke. Applied too much power. Maybe he was trying a little bit too hard to beat the lady.
Or maybe trying to replace horsepower with clutch. Who knows? But Gary Beck is out of competition. The underdog, Gary Cornwall, has put him away. It surely gets the news. But she also knows what she and her crew have got to do. They must beat Gary Cornwall in the very next round, the semifinals, to get enough points to take her second world championship. Is she the picture of confidence on the tailgate of that truck? The lady is ready.
Just like you saw in Beck's race there, smoking the tires and Cornwall winning. Cornwall seems to be on a roll, so Shirley still has to put him out. It's going to be a tough race for her.
Well, someone told me you didn't take the heads off, and even if you don't hurt it, at a national event, you take the heads off if you're smart. So I hope that'll bite him. I hope the right lane will get to him, and I think I'm going to leave on him. So I don't know. It's like you said, it really is the most important race in my career.
So the lane nearest our cameras, or right lane as Shirley Muldowney referred to it, Don, was a big factor in the outcome of this race all day long.
Sure, and she earned the right to be in that lane. She outran Cornwall's elapsed time the run before. She's running quicker than Cornwall. She selected that far lane, and believe me, that was the best lane of the day.
So Shirley Muldowney, at least on paper, has a bit of an advantage, as Gary and Penny Becknell, who were at the far end of the racetrack with me, Don, they had brought a bottle of champagne down there to celebrate with if Gary Cornwall could beat Shirley Muldowney here.
Yeah, but I'm afraid they might have to give that champagne to Shirley, because she's running awfully good right now.
So Shirley Muldowney, within her grasp, an unprecedented second Top Fuel World title. No one had ever won it more than once. Cornwall, he took his time, hoping to maybe put a little too much heat in Shirley Muldowney's engine. Shirley, I've never seen an athlete in motorsports that rises to the occasion like this woman does. She thrives on pressure, and there was plenty of it.
She's really, she's probably one of the best under pressure. She's quick, she's calm, cool, collected. She's got her act together, I'll tell you.
They sat on the starting line for what seemed like an eternity, and then it was Shirley Muldowney straight and strong down the left lane, and as anticipated by some, Gary Cornwall smokes the tires. Shirley Muldowney is the 1980 Top Fuel World Champion, and while her crew celebrates, it's utter despair for Gary and Penny Beck. And you know what, Don? He did indeed give her that iced bottle of champagne.
Gary Beck's a class guy. You know, he's been working all year for this moment, and to hand over that champagne bottle must have been hard on him. But you know, something told me that Beck was going to be back for more.
Oh, absolutely. There were a couple of other very important races in Shirley Muldowney's decade of thrills. This one at the Spring Nationals in 1982, the first time in any final round, believe it or not, two women drivers. Shirley Muldowney against a young upstart, as Shirley called her, from California, Lucille Lee. Lucille in the near lane. Of course, the pink car in the right-hand lane. Lucille's motor starts to go away. Shirley.
And she won. You know, Steve, I think there was more pressure on her there, racing another woman, than it was one of the guys.
What a year 82 was. The final round, the U.S. Nationals, Indianapolis, Shirley Muldowney versus Connie Coletta. It doesn't get any better than this.
No, it doesn't. Coletta was struggling all day, just put a fresh engine in his car, though, and he's in top form right now for this last round. He wants her.
Coletta had to borrow a cylinder block from funny car racer Kenny Bernstein. They are off the mark together. What a drag race.
Coletta was leading coming out, but Shirley once again is pulling away.
Shirley Muldowney, Connie Coletta certainly didn't give up easily. The crew celebrates the quickest side-by-side drag race in history. Shirley Muldowney wins her first ever U.S. Nationals.
Orange County, World Finals. All she has to do is get by Dwight Salisbury on this round, and believe me, it is tense for her.
Well, after winning the U.S. Nationals, she had so many points done, she only needed one win light. This is first run against Salisbury. He's a good leaver. He was out first. Remember, it was Dwight who blew up in that spectacular final with Gary back in 81. It is Shirley Muldowney. That's all she needed to win her third world title. Unloose the balloons. No one does her job better than Shirley Muldowney.
Yes, I have a job to do and have to put everything else out of my mind, and I want to try to do the best job I can because it takes like 100% from everybody.
You know, Don Perdome, the top performers, Shirley Muldowney, Gary Beck, Raymond Beadle, yourself, you don't start with a top fuel dragster or a funny car. You start in the sportsman ranks of drag racing, getting your feet wet in this kind of competition.
Yeah, you really get the feel for going up and down that quarter mile. It's a car just like I started out with, right there. It gets you a good feeling for the sport and how to lead the starting line.
And an awful lot of racers are really consumed by sportsman racing. They have no desire to advance into the more expensive, more exotic top fuel racers, pro stocks, or funny cars. They like the kind of equipment they campaign. But for others, such as Ken Beeney, it has been a true stepping stone. Beeney never has had a big sponsor, ever the innovator.
Ken, you're coming in with a brand new car. You built the body yourself, I understand. The chassis yourself, a motor full of borrowed parts, and here you are.
Got lucky.
I don't think so.
I've raced before. I had a pretty good idea how I wanted to do it again, and had a good idea where to start. Well, I had done them before.
You said you just simply couldn't afford to buy the components, so you had to build them.
Well, right. I mean, I didn't have the money to go racing again, and I really like to race, and I like to race funny cars, and the dragster is a little easier to run. It's easier to race against the dragster, but the dragster, the funny car being more popular, you can match race it and make a little money with it that way too.
Well, that was 1978 when Ken Beeney was in the alcohol ranks. He then moved up in 1982 to a nitro funny car. That can be a very big step for a guy who says he's undercapitalized and has to build all his own parts.
Who's built so much of your own stuff? What on this car do you manufacture? Well, we make the heads and rocker arm assemblies and belt covers, manifolds. I didn't build a blower on this one, but if you could, I'd have. Your motto is, if you can't afford it, build it. Huh? That's all I've had to do so far. I think you try a little harder when you don't have very much money. Maybe that's what it's all about.
Yeah, he sure caught our attention at the Nationals. He ran that 574, 254 miles an hour. We kept saying to ourselves, who is this guy?
Well, let me see. He tied your all-time ET record and took the speed record away from Billy Meyer.
Yeah, with homemade parts on his car to boot.
Well, you just couldn't get rid of Ken Vinny on that day. And here's a youngster you may never get rid of in this sport. Trip Shoemake, Phoenix, Arizona. Talk about pay your dues through a long list of sportsman cars and an even longer list of, shall we say, marginal pro cars. He finally got a first-class ride with Johnny Loper, the little Haas car from Phoenix. This is the Southern Nationals in '81. Trip had quite a day.
Yeah, Trip's one of those so-called little guys, but on this particular run, in this particular event, he was right on and leading Paul Smith all the way down the quarter of a mile, and there he goes putting out a little smoke. Now that's a little dangerous. You get a fire doing that too.
Well, you know, it's fun to see you down here for changing a favorites role.
Oh, man, it's been a long time coming. I'm tired now. Well, it's good to be here, that's all.
And you ran 6:10, but it sounds like you cooked it to do it.
Well, we did. We ran that 598 last night. We cooked it then, but I'd rather go home with burned up pieces and go home a loser, you know. Got plenty of tin soldiers with those came from, what do you think?
That's a dedicated racer, and also a dedicated family man. An important part of Trip Shoemake's racing is his wife, Susie. They've been going to the drag races together since their high school days, even long before they were married. And there's another little Shoemake that you'll always find at the racetrack anytime Trip Shoemake is driving a funny car.
Who do you think's going to win this drag race?
Daddy.
Daddy is? Does Daddy let you do anything on the car? Do you get to help? What do you do?
I help him back the parachute.
Oh, pack the parachute. That's an important job. Well, I think Heather's motto is best put right here, Dave. It says, I love racing. You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, good luck to you and your daddy.
The fun dad likes to thank me.
Is she something?
Boy, she indeed is something, doesn't she?
She's a cute kid, I'll tell you that. I've seen her around the pits plenty.
All right, this is the second round back at that 81 Southern Nationals. Trip Shoemake this time up against Cheryl Greer. Talk about go back a ways. He was a world champion even before you were.
That's right, Cheryl, I won the championship before, but this day was Trip Shoemake, Johnny Lopers. They just had it all together.
Boy, you bet they did. And that put them into the final round for the first time ever. But boy, they don't have an easy one here. Kenny Bernstein, the Budweiser king in the near lane.
Kenny Bernstein's plenty tough, but Trip Shoemake, I'm sure they really have it loaded up, and they left good. He's on a good run here. I've been worried about a fire out of his car, though, but he got to the finish line first and then safe.
And that was a brand new engine they cooked, but right now Susie Shoemake could care less. That is one happy lady, family, and team from Arizona. Kenny Bernstein was a number 2 qualifier, had top speed of the event, but just couldn't catch Trip Shoemake, who was a little stunned by it all.
I seem to be more excited after the first round win. I don't think you've fully accepted this yet.
I'm burnt out, man. He changed motors and everything. Got on Bernstein, he's a bad Jose, but I tell you, I'm just glad to be here.
But you ran good too, like 6:07?
Still all right? I know that. They couldn't handle the time card. I went by the lights too quick.
Well, it was 100th of a second between you, so you must have left good.
Is that right? Yeah. That's good.
And here is daughter Heather and his beautiful wife Susie. Hi, Heather.
Good old Loper.
She said earlier today, she says, my daddy kisses me a lot.
Where's that old man Loper? He's the toughest.
Johnny Loper, the car owner from Phoenix, Arizona, who has backed this young man for so many years, and as I said before, they always had the parts and the ability and the desire, but it just never came their way. Congratulations to all of you. Wonderful moment down here. Trip Shoemake wins his first ever national event, the Southern Nationals.
But for me, Don Perdome, there is no greater rags to riches story than Frank Hawley.
Yeah, Hawley jumped on the scene a few years back. Didn't really know much about him before he got into the Chi-Town Hustler car, though.
In the far lane is the last car that Hawley ran in the sportsman ranks, a little alcohol funny car, before applying literally through the mail to car owner Austin Coyle. He says, I'm a good driver and I'll race cheap. Austin said, come on, young man. You're just what I've been looking for. And boy, did he turn out to be good. It all started right here in 1982 at the Gator Nationals after qualifying low at Pomona and being beaten early Holly now in the final round against Tim Gross.
We all knew Holly was pretty good, but we just didn't know if he could handle it through the last segments of the races. And there he goes on for the win, and for sure he handled it just fine.
Coming out of the legendary Chi-Town Hustler, Barcones Coil and Medic, loved all over the country for its long, powerful burnout, has now proven to be championship caliber as well. For Frank Holly, his first ever national title for the car owners, well, they were in a finalist before many years ago, but for them, their first NHRA Oscar as well. Tim Gross comes over, who worked so very, very hard to get his car ready. Tim may have even had a little bit of an edge back at the line, but the powerful Chi-Town did it. Something else, boy.
Thank you very much. It feels pretty good. Those guys all look pretty happy.
Yeah, I'll bet they are. A little bit of shock here. Can you believe this is happening?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you drive a car like this, it's bound to happen, right? I'm real happy for Tim, too. I mean, he works real hard. Glad to race him. I wish, of course, you know, we could have finished our deal at Pomona. I wish Raymond hadn't been around this long, but we'll get him down the road.
Well, the money went to where it was needed the most in this particular final.
Well, I'll tell you, and it's about time.
Okay, a happy Frank Holly, as you can see. My congratulations to Austin Coyle and Pat Minnick and all the gang from Chicago, Illinois, the Chi-Town Hustler.
And bear in mind, they needed that money from their Gator Nationals win to get them to Columbus, Ohio, where again, Frank Holly, the Chi-Town Hustler, in the final round, this time against Al Segrini.
And this really showed that Frank Holly knew what he was doing on the steering wheel. Lee's really good on the lights, and the car's handling just fine. It was really an easy victory, real consistent.
Well, you hit on the key word, Snake, consistency. Consistent driving and 590 elapsed times brought the Chi-Town to the Winston World Finals in California, leading the points. But Holly was defeated early. The only driver with a chance to take the World Championship away from him in the far lane, Billy Meyer. But first, Billy Meyer has to get around Kenny Bernstein here in the semifinals.
And don't think Myers isn't capable of doing that. Myers is a real consistent driver and excellent mechanic on the machine. Of course, he's backing up here right now, collecting his thoughts, and so is Bernstein. Bernstein needs this victory also. This would be a big one for him.
Were you ever in this position, Don, where you had the lead, the end of the season, and you had to stand by with your fingers crossed?
Many times, yes. I've waited down at the end of the track just to see the outcome in the next round would determine a championship or not for me.
Well, there's Frank Holly doing that very same thing, down there pacing around, mopping his brow. He has got to be Kenny Bernstein's biggest fan right now.
But back at the starting line, the only thing that matters right now is that one of these two drivers will win the race. They're not thinking about any championships, really. They're trying to beat one another to the end of the finish line.
So Billy Meyer and Kenny Bernstein, Frank Holly nervously pacing at the far end. They are right together. What a race, Don.
What a race. That is a close race. That's one of the closest races you'll ever see.
And Kenny Bernstein defeats Billy Meyer. Frank Holly, the 1982 Funny Car World Champ. Austin Coyle, his Lady Barbara, Frank Holly and the crew. A 5-year-old race car. They never felt they had the funds. Frank Holly, the crew of the Chi-Town car, going over to congratulate Kenny Bernstein. 2 weeks ago, at the Golden Gate Nationals, it was Bernstein that defeated Frank Holly with a hole shot. He wasn't congratulating him then. A wonderful moment for the Chi-Town crew.
How has becoming world champion changed your life?
Oh, a lot of people want to talk to me now. They want to hang out with me. Before they didn't. So I like that. It gets inspired us to run for the rest of the year. I mean, we've realized that we can do it now. It's something that everyone always thought couldn't happen by an underdog team, and we proved it can happen. I think it's helped a lot of other people too. It was just with their attitudes, you know.
And he repeated in 1983.
In this sport, drag racing, where you have no second chances, luck is a bigger factor than in some other forms in other sports.
You know, we're dealing with under 6 seconds now, so lady luck plays a big part of it. Regardless how much money you have, how well you're backed, and the crews, how great a crew you have, and the nicest outfitters you have, lady luck is on your side. You're for sure losing.
And over this past decade of thrills, Gary Beck maybe had the longest siege of that bad luck of anybody I can remember.
And he's overcome it. You know, we've begun to wonder for a while, but it just goes to show in this sport, if you try hard enough and love it enough, you'll overcome it.
Well, in the constant quest to go quicker, you try and experiment using different engine, clutch, tire, gear ratio ideas. And in the meantime, while you're planning on going faster than 5.6, you forget how to go 5.6. So you got to kind of start all over. You got to go back to school again, and you got to teach yourself how to race again and cut back. It's the trouble we've had in the last few months is I can't put it on one thing. It's been numerous things, but it appears that it's slowly working its way back out.
People always ask, why doesn't he just go back to the same combination that, say, won this race in 74 in 5 seconds, 2:47? Why don't you?
Well, it's awful hard to do that. From 74 to now, the tires are completely different. The tracks are better. We have concrete starting line this time. This is my third car from there. This car has better traction built into it. So we have to automatically build more horsepower. That's not that easy to do.
Gary, all of your many fans, especially, of course, the Canadians, myself for that matter, after this race, we want to read somewhere Beck is back. Is there a good chance of that?
Well, certainly, we know that the SCAR's always been a team effort, and everybody tries real hard, our sponsors, the crew people, you know, so you keep working on it. You don't get discouraged. You keep plugging at the weak spots, and sooner or later it wins. We won a race a few weeks ago. We won a few rounds. Now we're planning on coming back, that's for sure.
Right after that conversation in 1977, Gary Beck went to the starting line at the Spring Nationals for a qualifying attempt. A good launch, the car straight and strong through the middle of the racetrack, but he was still snake bit.
Did a tremendous job of driving the car. It looked like I wanted to get away from it.
Well, it was all right. It was shaking a little bit, but it was going to be okay. You know, it was carried the wheels. It left extremely hard in the gate, and I could feel the engine just miss a beat. Just as the lights was coming, and boom! It was a pretty loud explosion.
Just going to finish your weekend with it.
No, we got one more bullet down in there. We'll bring her out.
Sacrifice another lap.
Well, yeah.
Count on it. Gary Beck never gives up. The 1978 Cajun Nationals. It's Beck in the near lane against Mike Tarter. A car he should easily handle. As they stage, Beck's engine sounds terrific. It looks like this could be Gary Beck's day after all of these hardships. Is Lady Luck along for the ride? Not a chance.
No, Steve. He just lost another engine. Beck's luck just hasn't changed. He's still in that slump. It's a shame to see a world champion, former world champion, go through something like this. He seems to be working it out, but boy, that had to have been, tore up the engine real bad. He lost the rods out of the engine, apparently, Steve, and he had a bad explosion.
Gary Beck? Gary, you okay?
Oh, yeah.
One of the longest lasting top fuel cars I've seen in a long time. What happened?
Well, it appears it's pitched a rod out there in low gear, and I let the throttle, the engine just stayed up at RPM for some reason, and I had the fuel shut off, but it must have got running on some oil and just detonated, and it had a lot of RPM, just kept throwing the oil out. So give all them safety crew guys something to do.
When did you first realize you had a fire?
Well, when I hit my head on the dash, the engine almost quit, but no power. I mean, I didn't realize any fire, but it just certainly knew something was amiss, that's for sure.
So you felt no heat at all and didn't know you had a fire when you got out?
No, certainly with the rear engine dragster, you know, your car's back there, and you don't realize what's going on, you know, as far as fire or oil or some transmission's breaking, you don't know until you get down here and get out.
In 1981, Gary Beck's fortunes improved a bit. In fact, he finished runner-up to Jeb Allen in the World Championship chase. But by spring of '82, some of the old gremlins were back. Here he faces off with a lady driver from California, a rookie, Lucille Lee. The car not performing that well. This, if there's such a thing as an easy one in drag racing, should have been it for Gary Beck. But watch what happens. Gary Beck is in the far lane. Lucille Lee in the near lane. She smokes the tire. She's all but beat. Suddenly, Gary Beck's parachute comes out for no explainable reason. It is Lucille Lee across the finish line first.
Well, the story of Gary Beck's defeat by the tire-smoking Lucille Lee is right here, an empty parachute attack at half track, Gary.
Yeah, Steve, it's certainly disappointing for us, you know, to lose that way, but it was, you know, an unusual run for me. Everybody's been asking why, how come, what happened, you know. And
why, how come, what happened?
And I've been telling them, you know, that I don't know. But I might buy myself a little time here, but I know exactly what happened. I pulled the parachute at after it. I went for my manual high speed and I missed the lever, and I hit the parachute lever.
Unintentional.
Unintentional. And it hit, and I wasn't sure. It would confuse me because I thought I'd hit the high speed, and the chute hit, and the engine pulled down, and I thought the engine nosed over like it was burning up. And before I realized that I had actually hit the parachute lever, then
she had come up on me, and it was too late to regroup, because I think I probably could have beat her pulling the parachute to the finish line if I'd have known what was going on.
Would have been so easy for Gary to say, yeah, the parachute shook out. It happens all the time, but he's not built that way, is he, Don Prudhomme?
No, he's not. That's what makes Beck what he is today, a champion. And I don't think I would have been something like that. I'm not sure.
Well, here's the upbeat side of the story. 1983, the U.S. Nationals, Gary Beck near lane, Joe Amato on the far side. Beck won the U.S. Nationals in 72, 73, and 10 years later in 1983, it is Gary Beck, and that gives him enough points to virtually clinch the World Championship. For a change, his wives, Penny Beck, the Blue Blouse, and Carl and Larry Minor have something to celebrate. A lot of these fans lived through the trials and tribulations of Gary Beck. Now they celebrate victory with him. Gary Beck, World Champion. You know, Snake, it just wouldn't be drag racing if it weren't for some minor annoyances now and again. Ask Connie Colletta. The only injury in all of that was to Shirley's foot.